Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Malicevorous Yugioh deck profile for December 2020. For those of you that don't know, the Malicevorous deck was a deck used by number 96 Dark Mist in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal anime. They were his main go-to monsters that he would use to overlay into himself, number 96. So I wanted to make a deck that focuses on these level 2 Fiend monsters that go into the main boss monster of the deck, which is number 96 Dark Mist. A really fun deck that focuses mainly on rank 2 Xyz summons, but also able to, use the Link monster variants we have. With all the different monsters, we can easily special summon out onto the field using all these different monsters. Let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Malicevorous monsters, we have a good variety that focuses on utensils for dinnerware. The first one being Malicevorous Fork. You can send one other Fiend-type monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. So making it so it doesn't take up your normal summon is one of the go-to plays using all three of the different Malicevorous monsters. The first one being Fork is meant to set up one of our other Malicevorous monsters in the graveyard for us to special summon back onto the field after we normal summon another Malicevorous monster. But the fact that Fork won't take up your normal summon makes it all the better because it'll be that go-to setup card in the deck, but then also giving you the option for you to just normal summon out one of your other Malicevorous monsters, with that one being your Malicevorous Knife. When this card is normal summon, you can target one Malicevorous monster in your graveyard except for Malicevorous Knife and special summon that target. So with the discard potentially being that you will, send off your other Malicevorous monster using Fork to the graveyard and then summoning out Knife with the normal summon and special summoning the other one will give you your three monsters you need to special summon out your number 96 Dark Mist, just needing the three level 2 monsters to make this card. So Knife will then special summon out the last of the Malicevorous monsters. We've already spoke of Fork and Knife, with the last one obviously being Spoon. I think if they ever, give us more utensils, there could be Spatula, Spork, you name it. It would definitely be cool to see these cards given a full archetype, maybe in a future duelist pack especially, and then giving us more number 96 Dark Mist support as well. But the final one, Malicevorous Spoon, when a Malicevorous monster with a different name is normal summon or special summon to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can target one level 2 Fiend type monster in your graveyard and special summon that target, but its effects are negated. You can only use this effect of Malicevorous Spoon once per turn. So it just gives you an additional monster to use on the field, giving you more resources if you're short, let's say, one of the normal summons, or just if you have the setup to go with Fork and your Spoon's already on the field, another special summon from the graveyard, depending on what play you want to go for, or if you have your normal summon set up. But altogether, they work very well together for the level 2 plays that they're meant to do in the deck. So you want to max out all the numbers of these cards, so you always have the options to open up with them as well. And then for some additional monsters that we run in the deck for the level 2 setup, I also run 3 Umbral Horror Ghost. Being a Fiend-type monster, especially useful there. During your main phase, you can special summon this card and one level 4 or lower Fiend-type monster from your hand. You cannot normal summon or set during the turn you activate this effect. You can only use this effect of Umbral Horror Ghost once per turn. So with this, you have the option just to special summon out another Malicevorous onto the field. If you don't want to take up your normal summon, then you can summon out Fork using Knife and have your 3 monsters there on the field to use. That's why I like to run 3 of this card, just because you have the option to special summon plenty of other level 4 lower Fiend type monsters that we run in the deck onto the field for you to use using this setup. And with all the other Malicevorous monsters being Fiend type monsters, it just makes it that much easier for more and more setup of different monsters on the field. Even if you don't have the additional monsters to go into an Xyz summon, you can at least go for a Link summon with one of the other ones you may special summon onto the field using your Umbral Horror Ghosts. And I also run 3 Evil Hero Infernal Prodigy, along with being a Fiend-type monster, making it consistent with Umbral Horror Ghost. It's just an easy special summon. You have to control no monsters to special summon this card from your hand, and then you're also able to basically have this card set up on the field to use for that play, but also being able to rely on your Infernal Prodigy means that you can basically have the setup for this card and then have more additional monsters summoned out onto the field without having to take up the normal summon, or at least even still go go for the play of some of your other cards like Malicevorous Fork with the sending of another Fiend-type monster to special summon onto the field. And then lastly, for the 3-ups for the level 2 lineup engine, I also run 3 Yugioh Clawcrow. If you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Yugioh Clawcrow once per turn this way, so it was just recently reprinted out of the Maximum Gold set, making it that much easier for people to get this card for this deck. But with it, it's not a Fiend-type monster, so you can't make use of it with cards like Umbral Horror Ghost. But if you have just one of your other Malicevorous cards out on the field, and let's say you special summoned your evil hero Infernal Prodigy, then you can go for the special summon of your Yugioh Clawcrow on the field, it being a once per turn, but still just a great special summon to rely on the deck for this play, and then go for the either extra deck summon you want to, whether it be a Link summon or the special summon of your Xyz monster. And then lastly, for the monsters for the main deck, I'm just running 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. There wasn't really any level 2, hand trap monsters that I could think of to run in the deck, with Droll and Lockbird being a level 1, Effect Veiler, all of the Ash Blossom family members also being level 3. I thought of Psyframe Gamma, but it's a level 2. You have to rely on the level 6. So I just decided to stick to the Ash Blossom hand trap spot for this. None that could really benefit with the level 2 lineup. So, just having this option is still pretty standard and generic for the deck. But that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 2 Rank Up Magic Numeron Force. Now, this can also be Baryon Force if you want to try out that card. You target 1 face-up XYZ monster you control. Special summon from your extra deck 1 number C monster with the same type as that monster you control, but 1 rank higher, by using it as an Xyz material. This special summon is treated as an XYZ summon, and XYZ materials attached to it become XYZ materials on the summoned monster. Then, if any face-up monsters are on the field other than this card and the monster summoned by it, negate the effects of those cards. A great setup card for the fact that our main go-to rank up will be number C96 Dark Storm, a very, very strong rank up indeed for the setup with your number 96 Darkness. And we also have one other number monster that we can use for the play using this card, which we'll get to when we go over the extra deck. That's why I like to run 2 of these cards for that setup, and just being able to negate the effects of other cards in the field along with this rank up makes it especially useful. I only run the 2 in the deck. We have the option to go into the Xyz summon that much easier, but just opening up this card for that play is really all we need for it. If we open up early game multiple copies and we don't have the setup for the XYZ play, the fact that both of the XYZ monsters take up 3 monsters to use, we need to be more invested in the monster summons than the actual rank up spell activation. But if we do have multiple numbers of those monsters, it can also be a problem. So I'm running 3 Allure of Darkness, just the draw power to get to the proper monsters. Like I said, if you have multiples of Knife or Spoon or Fork, you want to have some of the other different numbers, and the fact that Allure of Darkness is not a once per turn card, so you can keep drawing and drawing until you get the cards you need for your play, makes this a definite 3-up in the deck. Since the majority of the monsters we run in our main deck are also dark, including Yugioh Crow, Malicevorous Spoon, and also Evil Hero Infernal Prodigy. So all the banish cost for this card will be fulfilled with those monsters. I also run 2 Creature Swap. This one, if you are in some situations with the Malicevorous monsters and your Umbral Horror Ghost, and let's say also Infernal Prodigy for the special summon, you'll be left with 1 additional monster for those plays. You'll use the 3 for the Xyz summon. Then you can use the Creature Swap. First off, taking one of those monsters, which I'll go over the play at the end of the video, making sure you have your monster and then 1 monster you can attack into, and having the additional monster of your opponents on the field after you took their own monster also. For some of the 1-ofs in the deck, I run 1 Monster Reborn, easy special summon of all your resources back on the field. 1 Foolish Burial. This is to set up a Malicevorous monster in the graveyard that you can special summon with your Knife, let's say, in case you don't have one in the graveyard already. And I also run 1 Call by the Grave. I know we have a ban list coming up soon. I don't know what's going to change with this card if we do get some additional numbers. But if that be the case, you can always adjust the last spot being your Harpy Feather Duster. Back row is a big fear because the biggest investment in the deck will be your Xyz summon. So you want to make sure you have clear back row so you can attack your opponent with number 96 Dark Mist and not have any fear of what they may activate against you. And that is it for the spells. When I move on to the traps, I run 2 Crush Card Virus. With this card, just a great card to rely on for stopping your opponent's plays, especially with the fact that all of your dark monsters are below 1,000 attack for a good amount of the setup. So being able to rely on Crush Card Virus, I thought of mixing in some other of the virus cards. You can always try and mix any of the numbers that are compatible with this spot, but still just great for the setup, being able to stop your opponent's cards and then rely on the actual destruction using your Crush Card Virus card setup. I also run 3 back to the front, more special summoning options with this card, just giving you resources. Even if, let's say, your opponent destroys your Dark Mist, you can special summon it back to the field and then use the rank up play with the newly revived Dark Mist using your back to the front, or even the other additional XYZ monster that we're running in the extra deck. And I also run the 3 Solemn Strike to finish off the main deck. Just more counter traps to stop my opponent's plays with some of their bigger monsters that, let's say, attacking over with Dark Mist might not be enough. If you wanted to run any more of the Solemn Brigade, you can also take out 2 of the Crush Card Virus. If you didn't want to rely on this play for stopping your opponent's monsters, you can put in 2 Solemn Judgment, just more negation against your opponent, which definitely does come in handy depending on the play you may want to rely on, but you don't really use life points for anything in the deck either, so the 3 Solemn Strike are a big help there for sure. But that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run the 1 number 96 Dark Mist. This card can always be adjusted in number for some of the other rank 2 monsters we're running. If you want to run 2 of this card, I'll show what you can take out for it as well. Once per battle, during either player's turn, when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, half the attack of the opponent's monster, and this card gains the same amount of attack. So with it, it can always attack over whatever opponent's monster it is battling. Make it a true scary card to rely on for that play, for the fact that it has 100 attack for that setup. But the rank up card is even more scary when you can summon it out, and that is number C96 Darkstorm. You need the 4 level 3 dark monsters to summon it, but most of the time you're going to rank up with it and using your Dark Mist. This card cannot be destroyed by battle, and all battle damage you take from battles involving this card are also inflicted to your opponent. If it has a number 96 Dark Mist as exceed material, it also gains the effect once per battle during either player's turn when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster. You can detach 1 XYZ material from this card. The attack of the opponent's monster becomes 0, and if it does, this card gains the attack of the original attack of that opponent's monster. So this is how you can hit the heavy damage against your opponent, especially with Dark Mist just hitting the difference that was minused off of it. This card can gain the immense amount that is attacking into, as long as you have your Dark Mist as a material onto this card as well. But once again, I only like the 1 of this card, but with this card, you can have the additional numbers with some of the other numbers taken out from the deck. The other number that I am running is number 43, Manipulator of Souls. This one can also be a potential card taken out for, you know, an additional, let's say, number 96 Dark Mist if you wanted to go for more of those plays. But with this card, you can target 1, detach 1 XYZ material from this card, target 1 number monster in your graveyard, equip that target to this card, and while this card is equipped with a number, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or a card effect, and once per turn, you can gain life points, except during the damage step. You can take that card as an equal amount of attack and also inflict damage to it against your opponent. So with this card, you have more and more options for the exceed play, but once again, if you wanted to basically have the additional Dark Mist in the deck, you can take one of these out for another copy of that card. We're also running the Chaos version of number C43, High Manipulator of Chaos, just as another rank up option for the Numeron rank up that we're running, Numeron Force. So we have both options to go into using both of these cards. For some of the other XYZ monsters, I run 2 Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin. It just needs 2 level 2 monsters, so much easier to summon out if we don't have the full 3 monsters to summon out on the field to use. And also 1 Gachi Gachi Gantetsu and 1 Downward Magician, especially just for the fact if we go through all the XYZ material, being able to go into Downward Magician just as another powerful boss monster to rely on instead of Dark Mist or any of the other XYZ monsters we run. For the Link monsters, I also run 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Master King Archfiend, 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Borolo Dragon, and 1 Apollosa Bow of the Goddess, just for some more powerhouses in the Link department for cards we can go into as well. And as for the go-to play, with the main one revolving around the 3 Malicevorous monsters that we run, with the setup originally being, like I said, you will summon out your Malicevorous Fork by discarding Spoon to the graveyard. So once it's in the graveyard, you'll normal summon out your Malicevorous Knife, and then special summon Malicevorous Spoon back from the graveyard, giving you the 3 monsters you need to overlay into your main go-to monster, which is number 96 Dark Mist, which if you have the Numeron spell in your hand to rank up, you can go right then and there into Darkstorm, having an immense amount of exceed material on this card to use, detaching all the other ones, being you'll want to keep Dark Mist on it as the XYZ material, so it has its additional effect as well. If you have your 3 Malicevorous monsters and 1 additional card in your hand, with the preferred one either being your Caligo Clawcrow or your Infernal Prodigy. For the special summon, you will special summon the Infernal Prodigy first, then going with the same combo we spoke of before, discarding Spoon to summon Fork, normal summoning Knife to special summon out your Spoon back from the graveyard, giving you plenty of monsters on the field. You'll want to make sure you play them in attack position as well, because the next card you will activate, if you have it in your hand to use, is your creature swap with one of your opponent's monsters. Then you will, each player will choose one monster they control, which then you will choose one of your weaker monsters, so you can give them either your Infernal Prodigy or your Spoon being the lowest in attack. Giving them, then you'll have your Powerhouse, whichever monster your opponent gives you, being able to overlay your 3 monsters once again into your Darkness, but the only difference is you'll be able to attack over them with Darkness and then have your opponent's monster do attack into your opponent as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. I was definitely looking at updating some other decks from the Zexal series that I've been working on, including the Gaga deck, the Utopia deck. Also was thinking about building Sharks sometime in the future if people wanted to see, a take with that. I know they got some new support back during Eternity Code, so it'd definitely be cool to see an update to that deck altogether. But that is it for the video. Once again, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, Kira Twig out.